So, and we don't have like, super expensive, like Shure, condenser mics or anything.
I mean, you don't need super expensive stuff. You just need to know how to use it.
Yeah. I don't know how to use it.
Eh.
I plug it in.
Yeah.
And
But that is how you use it.
it works.
Also, I like that you've continued the trend of Neil being in all the thumbnails.
I can't. It's either Neil or Wim. Like I have to have one of them in there.
You've just committed to the bid at this point.
Yeah. I feel like Wim's too precious, like not to put in there.
Need to share it in places?
Yes. Yeah. Our mods are kind of losing their minds because I pissed someone off on Facebook, and they've been messaging the page a whole bunch, and like they wrote a bunch of stuff, and I just said cry more. Just in pat, like I didn't have time to respond, so I just said cry more, and that really pissed him off.
Well, good.
Yeah, actually, and because our mods can see the messages coming in and shit, and
yeah.
They're like, "Oh my gosh, why is he so upset?" And it's like I have that effect on people. I'm gonna do Blue Sky real quick too.
Send out a tweet or whatever the fuck they're calling it.
Is that what it's called?
I have no idea. Also, the app is still complete garbage.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, we have this beautiful horizontal tablet screen. Let's take up less than a third of it with a vertically oriented tweet box. Like, did they just never test this on an iPad or something?
I'm not really sure. I think it's one of those things where I'm not sure they expected to get as popular as they kind of suddenly got.
Because they're the non-Nazi alternative to Twitter.
Yeah, and like a few weeks ago, Blue Sky had like 2 million followers or 2 million users overnight, and they're like, "What do we do?" Oh God.
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
Okay.
Welcome back to Jedi Enclave. I'm Daniel.
I'm Chris.
And this is this week's episode of the Jedi Enclave Presents. Now, this is Podcasting Podcast, your and our, mostly our show about science fiction, Star Wars, fandom, things we like. Usually things we like. We don't talk too much about things we don't like.
Yeah.
And
it's just more fun to talk about things you like.
Yeah. You browse around on the internet. It's a mostly negative place, and we try not to be that negative unless it deserves it.
Which does occasionally happen, but not so much right now because there's new Star Wars happening.
Right, and you know what? It's good Star Wars, which is nice. Which, by the way, we are talking about that today. We're talking about Skeleton Crew. Because of the holiday madness, we didn't have a good chance to chat about Dune Prophecy, which ended. And I feel like was good enough to talk about a little bit. We're gonna talk about a couple of other shows as well. One that's coming up and one that I've been rewatching. That is one of those. I'll talk about it when we get to it if we have time. It's one of those things where like it was kind of one of the first really good Netflix shows that Netflix just canceled, and no one understood why. The OA. We'll talk about it a little bit when we get there. So yeah, there's that. And then while you're here, if you could go and follow us on Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitch, Blue Sky, which I'm told, I guess when you post on Blue Sky, it's
no one's telling you that. I was asking you as much.
Oh,
as
I thought you were telling me that's what they said. See, this is the problem.
I don't have a Blue Sky account. Okay. I don't know anything about it.
This is the problem: is that I heard your voice. But I was composing my Blue Sky post. So, like, I heard every other word, and then, like, my brain filled in the rest and made my own reality.
Clearly, this is the truth.
Yeah. I thought you were telling me that's what it...
Why would my good friend Chris ever lie to me?
So, anyway, we're on Blue Sky. Go check that out. Discord, The link to everything's in the description. Go and check it out. We'll be reading. There's a post I made, a spoiler thread for Skeleton Crew episode 7 that I made earlier today. So go and get some comments in on that while we're recapping, and at the end we'll read your thoughts and your impressions and everything else, or your crazy theories, like the fact that my theory is that the little rat that lives in 33's head has been ratatouilleing him the whole time. And that he's like a higher evolved life form, and he's got like a little control center in there, and he's got like a chair he sits in, and like, you know,
he's like an even smaller Babu Frick.
Yes, and like that voice, this is how he talks.
Yeah.
I think it's a really good theory. Does it have any proof?
No,
it does not. But
that's what makes it a good theory.
It's 2025, and we don't need that shit anymore for things to be true to us. So there we go.
We're in a post-truth society.
Yes. It was good knowing you, Truth. Godspeed. Skeleton Crew. You know, I don't like the main theme of this show.
The thing.
The musical theme.
The little celeste.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It just I don't know.
Okay.
What a mundane, stupid thing not to like.
Yeah.
But it's like, you remember when Mandalorian came out? In that opening title, like that was a banger, right? And the Book of Boba Fett, despite having its like a lot of story flaws, had a fucking great score.
Yeah.
And I feel like Skeleton Crew has it, though it has some, in this episode particularly, had some pretty cool musical moments that I actually really liked. So,
I think the music is hitting more than it's missing.
Yeah, I guess there are moments where I'm like, was there music in that scene? I can't remember. Which to me is not great.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it depends. There are some... Like, there are scenes in John Williams where the music... where there's music and it's perfect for the moment, and you feel it with everything you're watching. And then there are times that he doesn't do music at all on purpose, which actually like has a different effect that's really neat. Like, a really good example is in episode 2... and there's a fight between him and one of the producers,
the seismic charge scene,
right? And he's like, John Williams like, yeah, we're not gonna do music through this until like way late in the scene. He's like,
just like, what?
He's like, but there's nothing happening. He's like, there are things happening, and they're sound related, and
I don't want to fuck with that.
Yeah. Also, bitch, I'm John Williams, so stop talking to me about this.
You will get precisely as much music as I give you.
Right. Are you going to compose like the other 40 seconds in the scene or whatever? So yeah, it's what almost everything in the show I've liked except for one episode. And the season finale is next week, and I'm hoping they make it a longer episode because there are some plot things that they need to tie up.
There's some things they need to explain. Yeah.
And I'm unsure. We'll probably talk about this next week after the season finale. I am unsure about the future of this show. If it was only meant to be a one season adventure with these characters, if we'll end up seeing them again.
Like it was.
Yeah.
Just based on the vibes. I don't have any insider information on this or anything, but
no one ever does. If they say they do, they're lying. It's not like The Acolyte where it was really clear.
Yes,
they
very
spinning.
obviously meant this to go multiple seasons, and it just didn't.
Yeah. So, well, let's talk about a little bit what happens. Remember to put your thoughts in the comments. We'll read them when it makes sense. So
previously,
pretty okay. The parents have decided to enact their illegal plans, which is, I guess we don't really know what they have planned yet.
But they're going to send a fucking radio up through the barrier and have it send a message.
Well, we're not really sure that's what because they were kind of building it, and they're out in the middle of the woods. And I like how it kind of mirrors the kids hanging out in the woods. And it's like you stop and meditate on that for a minute, and you're like, oh, it's like, adults reconnecting with their childhood and everything, and they even get caught by the fuzz. And
Drone's like, hey, put that radio down or we'll stun you.
Yeah, well, this
is for your own good.
Yeah, we are protecting you. Please stop resisting. We need to protect you.
Which is a bit of a commentary on the modern police state.
Yes, it is. So they need a piece for it to work. And so Neil's mom shows up with it. And she's like, "Oh, I got the thing."
The what's it?
Yeah, and they plug it in and they put the USB in and it goes boop, and they're like, "Okay,
Cool.
what now? What?" And the cops show up and they're like, "Well, so actually, this stupid thing. This is I laughed because I think it was played for laughs and it was good, where they hear like the stereotypical." Branch in the distance breaks, and Neil's mom turns around and says, "I have a bad," and she's about to say, "I have a bad feeling about this," and then like the security droid just shows up and is like, "Look, we're gonna stun you if you don't put that down."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Run!" And
we do this cool scene where like one of them is running, carrying the thing,
right?
and
Well,
then
hold
gets
on.
stunned, and then
So-
pass to the next one.
Okay, what? Okay, I think it was probably one of KB's parents to start this thing off, which this is another part that really made me laugh. She was like, out of the side of her mouth, she was like, "Okay, I'm going to grab it and run." And they're like, "Okay." And she grabs it and she immediately gets stunned.
Yeah.
And then Neil's mom looks down and says, "She'll be fine. Run." It's like, you threw that bitch under the bus so fast.
I mean, they were only shooting to stun.
And
It's
also they have a
fine.
mission. They got to get it, you know. And you're right. They have this really cool sequence where like one person will have it, they get stunned, and it's like one of the marathon race that like they're doing. They're handing off the thing, and so the only person left standing is Undersecretary Karen, right? And she's the one that's kind of smart enough to evade the security guys
To,
for
like,
a second.
hide behind a rock.
Yes, which by the way, it made me think. They found them out in the woods because they tracked the communication device,
I guess.
I assume. How did they not just be like, "Yeah, it's over there"? I don't think we're meant to think into it that much. And that's fine. It's whatever. So she turns it on and is like, "Go, be free," and like throws it up into the air, and then it goes into the atmosphere and it starts transmitting. So back on the Onyx Cinder, the kids are having a good time.
Yep.
Except for Wim, because I feel like Wim's always kind of having an existential crisis about something.
Wim,
He's a very sensitive kid.
he's very sensitive, he's very imaginative, and this adventure has not been like what he imagined it would be.
Yeah.
And he's feeling a little disappointed about that, especially now that they're going home.
Yeah, which I think
so
he's-
the adventure will end.
I think he's more disappointed about going home.
Yeah.
And because he's like, they're going to make me take that motherfucking test anyway. And
I'm going to take my standardized test that determines the entire course of the rest of my life.
I'm going to do whatever boring shit my dad
I'm going to
does.
be a boring ass accountant like my dad.
Yeah.
It's going to be shit.
Right. And they all have a talk in the cockpit about how like even Fern misses her mom, and Neil's like, "I am the galaxy's biggest mama's boy, and if I don't see my mother in the next 12 hours, I will fucking die. So please, can we go home?" And Wim says a thing about how like I never should have touched that button. It caused so much trouble for us, and they're all like, "But no, really, this has been kind of fucking
Cool.
fun.
Yeah.
We have almost died several
Multiple
times.
times.
And this galaxy is terrifying for children without supervision."
Like 33, the guy flying our ship tried to kill us at least once.
Yeah, what an emotional roller coaster this entire thing has been. Just 2 episodes, there was literally a horror movie sequence with this fucking droid threatening to tear us limb from limb. But
Overall,
it's been
we
kind of
made some friends.
it's been
we had a good time.
It's not about the adventures, it's about the friends you make along the
Yeah,
way.
exactly.
Which, by the way, the friends they made along the way were on at Akron, and they never paid that off. So I'm not really sure. I don't know unless Ed Akron just like shows up in orbit or something, and they're like, "Oh, we have a turbo laser gun. We'll help you from the pirates."
Yeah.
So all the pirates arrive at Aden in their frigate, and so they're looking, and they're like, "This looks like a piece of shit," because it's just this like giant ball
this
of
big
gas.
green cloud.
Yeah.
What the fuck are we supposed to do with this?
And they're like, "This looks polluted and gross, and like we shouldn't fly into it." And Brutus is like, "You know what? Now we're killing him. Bring Jude Law in here,
Throw
put him
out
in the airlock." And
Jude Law's like, hold on. Actually,
he's like, "You fucking
the
idiot!
unlimited treasure is inside the clouds.
Yeah.
So why don't you send some fighters in there?
Yeah, why don't you send me in there?"
I will take a fighter and
Yeah.
fly in there.
And Brutus is like, "Motherfucker, I am not stupid. We're gonna send in a volunteer. You're gonna sit here because I would very much like to shove you out the airlock." So. everyone sit down, send fucking Mark into the thing, and yeah.
Mark gets into his fighter and says, all right, I'm going to go into the cloud now.
He puts his little helmet on.
Yep.
He's like, just in case something bad happens, I got my helmet on.
He flies in. He's like, yeah, I can't see shit, and there's lightning everywhere. And oh, God, I just got fried.
Yeah. They're like, let's send the guy in. Oh, and he's dead.
And Mark dies.
Jude Law's response to this is like, send another one, I guess.
Yeah,
send someone else in.
Send some more.
Yeah.
Send someone who's actually competent, like
Yeah.
me. And Brutus is like, no, I think we're going to put you
into the airlock. I'm tired of being edged on this issue. I'd very much like to kill you now.
I would very much like some release.
Yeah. Right before he's hitting that fucking jettison button, there's a sensor contact. The 180-year-old woman at the computer is like, oh my God, it's a ship. And everyone stops, and they get a good visual on it. And Jude Law's like,
that's the fucking Onyx Cinder.
I know that fucking ship.
33's like, yes, actually, that is the Onyx Cinder. It looks different without the armor, doesn't it?
Yeah. And so I think the
fucking tractor beam.
Right. And then the one lady like lets him out. She like hits the release on the door. He gets out. So the kids who are unaware that there's a giant pirate ship are just marveling because they've never seen.
Holy shit, that looks so good.
They've never seen their home from this angle because when they're on their way out, it was behind them and they just went into fucking hyperspace. And so they're like, wow, this looks terrible. Like I would never visit this planet.
Look at all this shit.
And then they're caught in a tractor beam. And so when they're like on the way down to the docking bay, Brutus is like to Jude Law is like, listen, I'm gonna kill you either way. I don't care how look, we all in the end we all end up rich. I'm still gonna kill you. So I just want you to think about that for a second. And
Jude Law's like, I will think about it.
Yeah, he's like, so the crew really likes me though, and he's like, they don't like you, they like money, and he's like,
I think they
probably like me a little bit. And he's like, we'll see. So they get down there, and the fucking the ramp comes down, and Brutus is like, get the ship,
get the fuck out here.
I swear to God, if you don't get down here right now, you're gonna be grounded.
Let me just walk up a little bit up this ramp so you can hear me as I shout, get the fuck out of here. Oh God, I got grabbed in the car.
Yeah, they grab him with the fucking docking claw, and someone's with the like on the voice change, probably KB, right?
Yeah,
and
it is 100% KB.
Yeah, she's like, back the fuck up, bitches.
I will fucking stub this guy's toe so hard.
Yeah. And Jude Law walks up and picks up a blaster.
Just fucking caps Brutus.
Just right, like...
like, Jesus Christ,
That's one of those
dude.
moments where I was
the
like...
kids are right there.
Yeah, he just fucking ices him.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, fuck you.
Lest we forget, Jude Law is not the good guy here.
Yeah, because at first I thought maybe, like... in the episode where they go to the pleasure resort or whatever, that maybe he was like enacting a plan or something that would help the kids or something.
But no,
I think he's
just
actually a greedy pirate. Yeah, which I'm kind of glad about.
Like everybody was telling the truth when they said, "Don't trust this motherfucker."
Yeah, and so Jude Law turns around
says,
with
hey,
dead Brutus hanging in the fucking docking cloth.
I'm the captain.
Yeah,
now.
Look at me. I'm the captain now. Does anyone have a problem with that? And they're like, no.
They're like, not really. Yeah. He's like, all right, you, get on the ship. There's going to be 4 scared little kids in there.
Pissing their pants.
Yes. Fucking...
change their diapers first.
Change their diapers and then throw them in the brig.
Yeah.
All the rest of you...
bust out the kid-sized handcuffs.
Yes. Why do we have child-sized handcuffs?
Are we the bad guys?
Are we the baddies? Anyway, all the rest of you, get the ship ready to go right through that barrier. We're going to get some infinite money.
Yeah. Right around then, the sensor buoy that the parents threw up into the atmosphere comes into range, and the message starts playing, the hologram.
So the kids are in the brig, which is like directly off the bridge for some reason.
I don't think that they're even in the brig. I think they're just standing in an area with a chaperone.
Yeah.
Where like that pirate's like, I'm not going to put you in a cell. That seems kind of rude. But you guys need to behave. Okay?
Also, I couldn't find the child-sized handcuffs.
Right. Yeah. And I don't know how to open this door.
Which we definitely have, but I just can't find.
So sit here and behave. Please don't embarrass me in front of the captain.
So the message starts playing, and it's all the kids' parents saying, "Hey, we love you so much."
They all have their cute.
Please come home.
Yeah. Each parent has a different thing, and like.
Look, it's really easy to get through the barrier. We can't actually tell you how because that would actually be breaking some laws.
Just in case there are some pirates listening to this right now, it'd be a huge problem.
But if you find a Republic emissary,
Yeah.
they can get you through.
Yeah, Republic emissary who knows about AT-ATN, and they'll fix everything.
Yes, definitely. And it's like this should be very easy to do because there certainly has not been a galactic civil war that wiped out the old Republic,
Right.
and then a period of 25 years, 30 of a galactic empire that
Right.
has just shit on everything.
The Sith, for example,
The
didn't take
Sith
control.
do not exist.
Yeah,
no,
they
no
didn't-
way.
They,
They,
didn't take,
they couldn't take control of the Senate because they
Yeah.
don't exist.
right.
Um,
Oh, and also, don't tell them where you're from.
Yes, very important. Do not tell anyone where you are from, which you may have already done because this message might come to you a little bit late.
Yeah,
but
and
you
your
know,
children.
In retrospect, maybe you should have realized that that's not such a great idea.
I like how when they say don't tell anyone where you're from, Jude Law turns and he's like, "Good job." By the way,
Yeah,
literally the
fucking dumbass.
the first thing you did in every interaction with every person you've met on this adventure is, "Hi, I'm from At-ATN."
can't say I remember
Yeah.
no at
Oh, I'm gonna miss that. I don't want the show to end. So, Wim's dad gets on, and he's like, "Look, the galaxy is a very dangerous place. You are only children. This is honestly kind of a catastrophe for you and for us because we love you.
No.
And also, Wim, I'm sorry for not listening to you. Please come home." And it was one of those moments where you're like,
Aw.
"Oh, that's really nice, actually."
So the kids are like, okay, we need a plan.
Okay.
We need to figure
Team
out.
huddle.
Yes.
Everyone come over here real quick. Fern's like, "I'm the leader.
Yes.
We're going to do a plan." Wim's like,
attack!
yeah. and fucking by himself.
Runs into this
Yeah.
pirate. He just fucking grabs him around the shoulders, holds a knife to his neck, and
Yeah.
he's like, well, shit, this didn't go how I thought it would.
I like how Wim's like, okay,
Okay.
I'm beaten.
Maybe I didn't think
Yeah.
that one through.
So they all pile onto the Onyx Cinder.
They're already on the Onyx Cinder. That's where the message came through.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
So they have an argument about claimsies because the very intricate Pirates Code has a rule that
You can only be
Yeah.
captain of one ship at a time,
Right.
and since Jude Law is captain of the frigate, he can't
Right.
be captain of the Onyx Cinder.
So Wim goes to call claimsies, and Jude Law covers his mouth, and he's like, "I call claimsies."
Yes.
And so Fern's like, "Well, no,
I call unclaimsies.
I call unclaimsies," and Jude Law's like,
You can't do
"You've
that.
not read the Pirates Code," and like, you see 33 is like looks to one's like the kids talking is like,
You know what? That's close enough,
Yeah.
honestly, and starts punching
yeah,
people.
you just punches Jude Law like right in the face, and he's like, "You know what?
This
Close.
shot is great, actually, because Jude Law is just saying, like, you can't just do that and then boom,
Clocked right in the
from
face.
out of frame.
Yeah, yeah."
30.
And so he's like 33 is like I won't lie to you, I've been looking for literally any excuse to punch him in the face like that. You've given it to me. What's your next order? And she's like, "Take out the rest of the pirates." And he's like, "Oh, I thought you'd never ask."
Absolutely.
And he fucking puts his shields up
Yep.
and he's like, "Fucking put them up, bitches," and runs right at the pirates. Attacks the crew. I think incapacitates all of them.
Yes.
Right.
And fucking tosses him out the ramp. The ship takes off, and the pirates on the frigate are like, what? Why
Right.
is it? What?
What has happened?
Why?
Has anyone actually read the pirate code? Because if there is an unclaimsies clause, we should probably know about that.
Yeah. Seems like a good thing to know about.
So they're able to take off.
Yep.
And
So
they
33,
escape.
fucking take us home.
Yeah, they escape into the maelstrom. And
Pirates send 2 fighters in
Silvo,
after.
yeah, Silvo like sends a couple guys, and so as they're flying in, they keep passing these apparatuses that have like lightning crackling around them, and whenever a ship that isn't the Onyx Cinder passes them, it shoots out lightning and destroys the ship.
Yeah.
Right. So
Kids like, holy shit,
Yeah.
that dude just died.
yeah, they've seen a lot of murder and death on this adventure. Whenever the Onyx Cinder flies by, the bottom lights just turn green. Like it's
Oh,
like
I recognize you.
it's like the iPass.
Yeah.
Like when you go up to Chicago and
Yeah.
you have the iPass in your window. And they break through.
They're like, hey, wait a minute. The Onyx Cinder isn't a pirate ship. It's an At-ATN
Yeah,
ship.
it's from Manhattan. And 33 is like, yeah, no fucking shit. Like that's the brilliance of Captain Rennet is that he is like, I'll just take a mint ship and I can come back whenever the fuck I want.
Yeah.
And so they break through and they find the planet. And I thought maybe this is a neat effect because I thought maybe the maelstrom was like a like a trick, like a visual trick to make the atmosphere look like it. But it's not. Ad-Atten is like actually in there in the middle.
Yeah.
And so they like pull up and
33 is like, shit, we're in another tractor beam.
yeah. The auto landing takes over like at Akron. And surprise, Jude Law is on the ship.
Yes.
How did he get on? I don't know. He's a wily fuck. I don't know. But he shows up. And Fern's like, 33 tears his dick off. And he's like, oh, I thought you'd never ask. And so he stands up and he runs over to him. And
Jude Law's like, surprise, bitches.
Yeah.
Chekhov's lightsaber.
Chekhov's lightsaber off with your head.
Slices it.
Yeah. Falls down. The little rat scurries out and screams at him. And there for a second, it looks like he's going to step on it, by the way. And then
Yeah.
he like pushes it out of the way with his foot.
And the kids are like, dude, that's not cool.
Yeah. This is the guy that we liked on this adventure.
Jude Law is like, all of you, shut the fuck up.
Oh, yeah.
Get on the
This is
ground
really
right
funny,
there.
because
I
this
have
is-
the world's biggest headache after
Yeah.
this asshole droid punched me in the head.
There is something so relatable about this because he takes the kids hostage. He tries to contact the ship and Wim's like the frequency and he's like, fucking I know it's being jammed.
Your jibber jabber
Yeah.
has annoyed me
Yeah.
so fucking much.
He sits
You have no idea how much I want to kill all of you.
fucking kids, man. He sits down in the pilot's seat and is like, surely the controls work. And then KB is like, it's in autopilot. He's like,
I
okay.
fucking know.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna tell you how this goes. You guys all suck, and I particularly hate Wim for some reason. He like calls him out. He's like, "You're the worst fucking one," and then he tells them that they're all weak and sheltered and spoiled. Yes. And I feel like in the way that he delivers it, there's more character development here than the character means. He's like giving himself away a little bit more than he means to. Because the first thing I think of is if he is indeed an Order 66 survivor. It would have happened to him when he was a child.
Yes.
And it would make sense that he would look at these children with some resentment over how easy their lives are. And because in his head, I feel like he's like, you guys have no idea how fucking lucky you are, right? And I'm not sure how they'll end up. I don't know what the deal with him is.
That's one of the mysteries they really should be resolving and paying off next week.
In the next episode. The thing, like, I would hope that he's not just like, it's not like Nanjiani's character in Obi-Wan where he's using magnets and shit. Like, I think he actually has the Force.
Yeah.
And it looks like he's got some lightsaber training.
Yeah.
Because even if he had the Force, that doesn't mean that he, like, what's more likely to happen to him with a lightsaber is what happened to Wim, where you don't know how it works.
Yeah, you can turn it upside down. And,
Yeah. So he knows, like, I feel like he's had a little bit of lightsaber training and he kind of knows how to, like, deal with it. So I suspect he's probably an Order 66 survivor, probably, like, was quite young when it happened. Maybe Ahmed Best character goes back to the temple after he drops Grogu off and he's like, I'm gonna rescue another one.
Yeah.
So he's like, shut the fuck up and let me think. And he's like, okay, here's the plan. We're going to land. I'm going to contact my other ship. And here's the thing. If you guys step out of line, I'm going to kill your entire families. And, I've seen their faces because of their little sensor buoy. And I'll do it in front of you, and then I'll put their faces on, and I'll pretend to be your parents for an entire year. And you'll have to call me Dad. And then I'll kill you.
Kids are like, that is incredibly fucked up, dude.
Wow. So the parents are in trouble because the sensor buoy thing.
Yeah.
Right. So the droid is like, guys, you broke security protocols. What the fuck? And they're like, our children are missing.
And you haven't done jack shit about it?
And they're like, look, we're really busy, but also like you did contact the supervisor, and there's like a chain of command and shit, and they're like, you're fucking droids, your head's a security camera, no one fucking likes you, and the droid's like,
you're organic, you can just have more kids whenever you want.
Right. First, rude. Second, hold on a second, and like walks away.
Yeah.
And
like, where the fuck is he going?
Yeah, they're like, what the fuck? This is so typical. The PA system activates, and there's a message from the supervisor who's like, there's an emissary, everyone stop. There's an emissary.
Everybody, discontinue your current activities.
Right.
There is a Republic emissary coming right the fuck here.
Yeah, so everyone shut the fuck up, get out of sight, and until they leave. And KB's parents, like, get on their, like, Augment app, and they're like, oh, it's KB, she's close.
Yeah.
And so the parents know that their children are on that ship, right? So the Onyx Cinder lands on this really neat, like, hidden landing pad. And he, like, Jude Law walks out with the kids, and one of the droids meets him, and he's like, okay, don't worry about those fucking kids. And the droid's like, actually, those are the missing kids.
Yeah.
I know who that is.
Yeah, those kids have been missing for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, but you're like the Republic emissary, and he's like, yeah.
Yes.
So
I'm not the emissary.
Remind me.
What does an emissary do?
What's the next step? I'm quizzing you about what the next step here is. And he's like, well, we go down and you offload your cargo, and then you get the fuck out. And he's like, oh, right. That's correct, by the way. That was the right answer. I need to contact my ship. And the droid's like, no. And he's like,
but can I escort you to the vault?
Yeah. And he's like, whoa, what's in the vault? A lot of money. Yeah.
Yes.
Let's go to the
in
vault.
Fact, that
sounds great.
Yes.
And
Excellent.
so the whole landing pad, like, goes down. It's like it turns into an elevator. We get, like, a pretty good look at the Mint, I think, which is this giant. How much money does this planet produce? By the way, like
a fuck ton.
So, like, Jude Law is like, damn, you guys make a lot of money here.
Can I call my ship, though?
Yeah, and he's like, okay, listen, the second time you've asked about calling your ship, you need to talk to the supervisor about that. It's above my pay grade.
All right, fucking bring the supervisor out here, and also bring me some snacks.
Yeah, bring me a drink,
It is a
please.
very long journey.
Also
some aspirin. I have the weirdest headache right now.
Also, and I have no particular reason to be mad at you, but fuck droids. And the droid's like, rude, but okay, fine. So they get down to the vaults, and the kids are put back onto the Onyx Cinder, like, for their own safety and shit. And they talk about, like, calling his ship, and they take him to the vault, and it is just, like, packed full of Republic credits. And Jude Law's like, another part of the quiz. How many vaults are there? And he's like, there are literally 1,139 other ones that are just as full as this one. He's like, oh, okay.
I'm sorry. Could you say that again? I couldn't hear you over the sound of my throbbing erection.
He walks over to, like, one of the big stacks of, like, thing, and he's got this look on his face like, oh, I'm gonna fuck those credits.
Yeah. He just kind of, like, bats them. And
well, he takes one. He takes one out, and, like, they just start cascading.
Waterfall, and he just kind of, like,
and he just starts giggling. He just starts,
he's
he's just like, it's like he's so happy. CG credits, by the way. When I watched this the second time with my partner earlier today, he's like, are those CG? And I was like, yeah, because it, like, they wanted it to cascade perfectly, because you can tell, like, when he like puts his head under him like he's gonna take a shower, they like kind of just, like, bounce off of him really weirdly.
Fine.
It didn't matter. So the parents show up. And there's a really touching reunion. They all go to their respective parents and shit, and they turn around, and Jude Law is standing there and just fucking turns his lightsaber on, and that's the end of the episode.
Yep.
So this next episode needs to tie up
fair number of loose ends.
Yeah, there aren't, like, a ton.
So, like, off the top of my head, what's the deal with Jude Law?
Yeah.
What's the deal with the supervisor? Because, like,
that's I think more important.
Yeah. The pirates are still out there.
Right.
Still right outside At-Atten. It's got probably something that should happen with them. I think that's most of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would like to know. I guess how it is this entire civilization could have slept through 30 years of galactic, like, of Imperial rule.
I'm willing. So my explanation, if I was a writer, would be that, like, no one inside ever knew what was going on outside the barrier, because why would they?
Yeah.
And all the people outside the barrier who knew what was going on with At-Atten are all dead as a result of.
Well, you would think that they were like, oh, we need to send out credits, and then no one's there to get them. Because that's their job, right?
Why do you think they have 11,000 vaults?
Right. Well, you would think that they're like, oh, no one's taking these anymore. I guess we'll just put them in the vault and ask no questions.
Well, there were other planets, right? At Akron and the other 9 or whatever.
That were destroyed.
Yeah. So
except for Ad Akron. I think that all the other ones were destroyed.
What I'm thinking is, like, the Republic would just sort of rotate among these planets for where they would get their dataries from. Because like it's a little bit more efficient to just send a bunch of freighters to one planet, take all the credits back, and then then like a year or two later when you need more, go to the next planet, take all those credits back, rather than constantly be going to all of them.
Yeah, I don't know. There's something weird about it. I hope I hope that there's a satisfying enough. It's not like one of those like where if the detail doesn't make a super amount of sense that it like ruins the story or anything. But it would be nice to know like how they were able to just kind of sleep on everything. And I have a prediction. I'm pretty sure that the supervisor is going to end up being Rened or one of his descendants or something.
I had a feeling it might be a droid, actually.
That's what my partner said. He's like, it wouldn't be funny if the supervisor was just a droid.
The only thing that gives me pause is that the supervisor's voice was not like anything resembling droid-like. But
you know what we should do? We should go listen to you mean from the PA announcement? We should go listen to that and then listen to the hologram of Rened in that one episode and see if the voices sound kind of similar.
Yeah, that would work.
Ralph says Star Wars is peak cinema. Always. It's the only original thing left. Everything else has already been done before. Not to be a contrarian, that's actually not correct. And it's not. I think it's one of the more beautiful things about Star Wars is that 1977, Star Wars was just Flash Gordon.
Yeah.
And different World War II movies that Lucas really liked, right?
I mean, it is the prototypical hero's journey,
right?
It's
one of the things I love about Star Wars is that it accepts different genres.
Yeah.
And into like how the Mandalorian
was a Western.
It's just a Western, right?
Ahsoka is just a samurai movie,
right? And it takes to those genres really well, because the character
Skeleton Crew is just fucking E.T.
It's or the Goonies, right? Yeah. And I think that's one of the more special things about. And I agree that like Star Wars does have some tired tropes they need to move past. We do not need another planet killing thing, or one that kills 2 or 3 planets, or one that kills a planet but it's on a tiny little Star Destroyer. We don't need any more planet killing things. We don't need solar system killing sun crushers, right? Despite the fact that I love that trilogy of books, it's like we get it. Like, can we find a different threat other than just that stuff?
Or just tell stories on a smaller scale.
Yeah. On the other side of that, there are some insanely good things that happen just as often in Star Wars as that other stuff, where it just kind of like, and I think that might be my problem with I think The Rise of Skywalker, which is on our list of favorite Star Wars movies. It's probably toward the bottom for me, where it's like the balance of that isn't right, where it's like got a lot of shit where I'm like, oh, again, and then not enough stuff, and it's like, oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
So but anyway, yeah, I totally, I don't mean to be a contrarian, but I don't think it's true to say that Star Wars is the only original thing left, when actually it references itself.
I don't think it was original from the beginning.
Right, but that's what I like about it.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of a Star Wars as a medium it's like a canvas that you can tell a bunch of different kinds of stories with, and it's what I like about it so much. Let me look at a couple things.
The comments.
I have to find this post that I made. Oh, there's us.
The thread wherein people talk about all the shit they saw.
Yeah. Well, not saw, just thought. I call unclaimsies. Where's the logic in that? Well, they're kids.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, are you telling me you and your friends when you were a kid didn't come up with some incredibly stupid shit?
Weird social contracts
Yeah.
where you're just like, oh, we don't want to get cooties, so we're going to do this thing.
Yeah.
It's like, where's the logic in that? There is none because they're kids and they're fucking stupid.
Yeah.
That's the hallmark of every kid. They're fucking stupid.
Yes.
Yeah. Going the whole thing about SM33 going along with that thing, and it's like
He's like, close enough.
yeah. I really think that 33 so when Jude Law challenges Fern for the captain title, there was visible conflict with SM33 where he's like,
I kind of like these
yeah,
kids.
I don't like it, but it's the law.
I mean...
So I think ever since that moment, 33 is waiting for literally any excuse just to take him down.
To punch Jude
Yeah,
Law in the face.
Right, yeah. So yeah, next week, final episode. It's this show has been better than I expected it to be. Not that I had really low expectations for it, but I also think that there isn't as much controversy around this one, which
Yeah.
is kind of nice. There isn't there isn't like a lesbian this directing episode, so like the incel side of Star Wars is fine with it. So
I mean, Kathleen Kennedy's name is still in the credits,
Yeah.
right? So clearly the worst people in the world will still find something.
I mean, they've got the whole cognitive dissonance thing where they're like, oh, well, she's not actually running stuff. It's actually Dave Filoni because of this secret little war inside of Lucasfilm that no one knows about except for Star Wars Theory and Mike Zero, and they told us about it. And there was a fight, and they had a sword fight, and Kathleen Kennedy lost, and now, like, as punishment, she has to sit in her office and pretend. And Dave Filoni, the savior of Star Wars, is actually doing it,
and Brie Larson is in there.
Brie Larson's like,
Despite the fact she's never been in Star Wars.
Brie Larson keeps going to Lucasfilm and pissing on the carpet, and no one knows why. They'll have whatever thing they need to construct in their brain to deal with the fact that her name's on it, right? It's kind of like how Mark Hamill is very vocally anti-Trump on social media,
but nobody dares come at him.
Yeah, because it's like, it's fucking Luke Skywalker, man. You don't go after Luke Skywalker. So they have to, and they're like, oh, well, whatever. It's like, great argument. Fucking great argument. Okay.
All right, so what are we talking about next?
Dune Prophecy. Well,
Okay.
actually,
So we got like 3 things?
yeah, well, okay, let me talk about, this is a quick thing.
Okay.
Because I like that we always talk about Star Wars when it comes up because it's like really important. It's kind of central to what we're interested in, at least for this show. But I like that we've kind of branched out to different science fiction-y, and it doesn't necessarily have to be science fiction. Sometimes it's just like cool fantasy stuff or like just cool ideas and stuff. And my partner and I have been rewatching a show called The OA, which is not a new show. This is from like 11 years ago or something.
Okay.
And I mentioned toward the top of the hour that is like one of those first Netflix shows that did really well but got canceled for no reason. Like people couldn't figure out why it got canceled.
Yeah.
Which Netflix has done a lot since.
I mean, the answer is probably that
Money.
it just costs too much to make.
Or they got more from the insurance write-off from canceling it than you know. So there was a huge cultural moment because a lot of people were really into that show, and so like a bunch of like fans banded together and bought a hideously expensive billboard in Times Square with like hashtag Save the OA, and someone went on a hunger strike outside of Netflix studios or something. And I often talk about shows that like cause me to have like an emotional moment because like as I get older I generally am a little bit more emotional than I was, but if you give me a show where I care enough about the characters where like there are moments that cause some emotion.
So real quick, because I've never seen anything about this. In like 3 sentences, sum up this.
I'm going to do it more in 3 sentences. I'm sorry, you're just going to have to deal with it.
Okay.
So this woman, after having been missing for 7 years, just shows up again.
Okay.
And that is okay. Fine. The notable thing was that before she went missing, she was blind, and she is not blind when she comes back. and they're like, what the fuck? And she won't tell any. She's got scars on her body and shit, and they're like, what the fuck happened? And she won't tell anyone. And she ends up sneaking and uploading a video on YouTube saying, like, I don't know who you are. Basically, the gist is, I need you and you need me. Meet me at this place. And the right people see it. How does anyone know it's the right people? One of the themes is that there are 5 people plus this character who 4 of them are students at a high school. And the 5th is one of their teachers, who all have these different deep injuries to their soul. And like, one of them's a trans boy whose parents don't understand and don't get it. One of them's a bully, but it's really obvious that, like, he's a reflection of what's happening at home. And there's a kid who's like, he doesn't have parents. He, like, his big sister who just smokes pot on the couch all day. No one cares what he does, or no one cares about him. And there's the kid who is this, like, academic, like, achiever and has all this pressure to do well and all this other shit, and whose mom has a bunch of problems. And this teacher whose brother just fairly recently died because she committed him to a substance abuse program, and I think he killed himself, which you can imagine would bring an enormous amount of guilt on someone.
Yeah.
And so all these people who are broken in different ways all find themselves together. And she starts telling them bits of this story every night about how she met this doctor who is doing an experiment, and she volunteered to do it. And so he brought her home to his home lab and then incarcerated her with 4 other people in his basement. And he was doing experiments on near-death experiences. And his experiment protocols were he would kill them over and over via drowning and then revive them and try to figure out where the soul goes when you die. And this shit starts happening where when they would have their near-death experiences, some trippy shit happens. And the whole time the story is being told from her point of view, and she is an unreliable narrator. And you don't know if she's telling the truth or if she's just making shit up, right? And there are these 2, like, there's a mid-season moment and then the end of the first season where, like, there are a couple of scenes where you're like, it's one of those moments in TV or in a really good story where you just stare stunned because, like, there's good music and, like, this thing happens and it's just the whole thing. It's like, remember when we were watching through the newsroom and there was that episode where Gabby Giffords, the congresswoman from Arizona, was shot, and they do the news on it, and they're like, no one's sure if she's alive or dead, and they're like, the anchor's being pushed to report that she was dead, and like he wouldn't do it and everything, and there's like I don't know, like a Coldplay song or something, but like all these moments are working together where at the end you're like, damn, like that's some really good storytelling. There are 2 moments like that in particular in the first season that are just like that. So if you've not seen the OA on Netflix, it's probably something I'll make you watch after you've forgotten we've had this conversation.
After we get on the Battlestar Galactica, presumably.
Well, there'll be other stuff in between that too. By the way, my partner John and I have a list of shows and movies that we're making Chris watch because I was talking about you on our Battlefront stream the other night about how we were having a conversation once a few years ago when I said, oh, it's like Jurassic Park. And then you're like, oh, I haven't seen Jurassic Park. And I was just like, what? How do you have not seen Jurassic Park?
And then he sat me down and tied me to a chair, Clockwork Orange style, with my eyes forced open and made me watch it.
Dune Prophecy ended, and it's been gone for a couple of weeks now. But that's another thing that I wish we had more time in the moment to talk about. Because
not to cut you off,
No, you're good.
but like this first season really felt like a first season. Like they were very deliberately setting things up.
Yeah.
From what I remember of our buzzed recap of Game of Thrones season 1, this reminds me of that a little bit, where they're putting all these chess pieces on the board, and then there's a very big deal calamity at the end of the season that sort of
sets everything
off.
Yeah. And you know what the thing is, I expected this, the science fiction fantasy that it is, to get a little tropey, and it just went in a direction I didn't initially expect.
Well, that's the thing about Dune. Like it sort of predates a lot of those tropes.
Yeah. Or he created them
Yeah.
in writing Dune. Yeah, sure. I said that comment earlier about how original Star Wars is, when it's Flash Gordon in Dune, pretty much.
Pretty much.
Yeah. And it's better for it, I think.
Yeah.
So I've not seen, I don't know if maybe not a ton of people watched Dune Prophecy, but I imagine that there must be a population of people who are really upset that most of the cast are female. But the cast is killer.
Yeah.
It is so good. So basically we get to see kind of the begin, if you've seen the Dune films.
The origin story of the Bene Gesserit.
Yeah, like this like badass weird order of nuns who
know immediately if you're telling the truth by like sort of
they
tapping their fingers.
pinch the air and they're like, you're full of shit.
Except they also know kung fu and like can kill you with their knives.
Yeah, I can kill you with a thought. And they mix poisons, and they can transmutate poisons and shit
inside their bodies.
Yeah.
And like they have the voice that can just make you do whatever they want you to do.
Yeah. It's like, it's kind of a cool it's kind of a cool thing. Like they're kind of cool, they're kind of neat. And I like the story follows the woman who starts a revolution in the Bene Gesserit and her sister, and they tell their stories from two different timelines. So there are two actors that play their younger selves and two actors that play their older selves, and all of them are those four actors in particular are fantastic. They are so good, and I love the character motivations for like the main bitch Valia is so driven, like when she's younger, so driven by rage over the murdering of her brother that it
and before that the dishonoring of her entire family,
right, but mostly the murder of her brother, right, because she was pretty radicalized by then too, but she had her whole plan where her brother was like, they were gonna do her
brother's gonna go fucking force their way back into the upper levels of the space aristocracy.
Yeah, and he was murdered.
And then he died, and she was like, that's fucked up.
It changes the course of her life, and her rage and her need for vengeance changes the galaxy. It's like this one person was so pissed off that they changed everything, right? And her sister is also driven by some of the same rage.
I feel like Tula's motivations are a little bit different because it feels like she's always playing second fiddle to Valia.
Right, and she's always trying to
even the whole like infiltrating the Atreides family and killing all of them.
She was doing it for
she's doing that for Valia. Like she does
I get it.
Incredibly fucked up things for Valia
without thinking about it much.
Yeah,
like she's this thing that, spoilers, by the way, for the OA and also spoilers for this. She infiltrates the Atreides family and kills all of them but one. But in the process,
but two technically.
Right, in the process gets knocked up.
Yes.
Right. And this is one of those reveals that I think toward the last third of the season when they reveal that the stranger that comes into town is that baby.
Yeah.
And I was like, I did not see that coming, and I maybe should have.
That baby who hates his mother, even though his mother was like, bitch, this life is going to suck. You need to get the fuck out of here.
Right. Yeah.
Like, right after giving birth to this baby, she's like, you need to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
We'll just tell Valia you died or something.
And her whole thing, even though she's been executing the orders of her sister, this is the one thing she was like, my sister will not have you. Like you will not be an asset in this chess game, and sends him off.
Which is a remarkable thing considering that like not very long away from this was the scene where like the four of them walked up to the sisterhood people who weren't on board with her and used the voice to keep telling them all to kill themselves, except for that one lady who in the future is like the one old lady who's around the sisterhood,
right?
Who is like, actually,
that reveal, and when they drain the fucking that was insane.
God, but the last episode of this season was so
it
good.
It goes very, very hard,
yes.
And I ended up enjoying it a lot. And hopefully, I don't know, it's HBO. David Zaslav is really unpredictable with how he runs the Discovery HBO thing.
But I mean, they very clearly set this up to go multiple seasons. I can't imagine they would have done it the way they did if they didn't have some assurance that they would get at least 2 or 3.
I don't know, man. I hope you're right, but you know how they are.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought like it's solid 8 out of 10.
Definitely.
A quick drive-by of this. I beat Indiana Jones and the Great Circle last night. And we talked a little bit about it on stream. Give it like a 7 out of 10.
Okay.
And it was a stretch to get it to 7. And
okay.
I think the reason, so like Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is a better movie, despite it being a video game, than Indiana Jones and the one with aliens or whatever.
The one where he survives a nuclear explosion in a refrigerator.
Yes. The story is neat. Like it's a neat story. The puzzles are fun. There are lots of puzzles. You have a pistol, and it's very fun to shoot Nazis.
But you can also just beat Nazis to death with any random object you find.
Or a mandolin.
Yeah.
Which I started everything I would see. I would put the word combat before it, and it would just become like combat mandolin or combat violin or
combat frying pan
or combat fly swatter. Like you can get fly. Yeah. And the cool thing, the combat is clunky. It really is. But they do this cool thing that I appreciated where all the guards, all the Nazis and the fascists, will all fist fight you unless you pull your gun out. And then they all pull their guns out. And you can take like 2 or 3 shots before you die. Like you go down very fast.
So you're encouraged to fist fight.
Yes, you are discouraged from shooting. And like there's you don't really like horror movies, so you might not appreciate this, but the guy that played Candyman in the 90s Candyman movies, he's been in a few other I can't remember his name right now, but he plays a part in the. I thought that actor was dead, by the way, and so I was really happy to know that he wasn't. But yeah, the whole thing it's kind of cool, and the central thing that they're hunting, the historical whatever, it was kind of cool, and like I had fun with it.
Cool.
So I think in just a few days, Severance season 2 comes out.
Yes.
Which we will be talking about because it's one of those things where like. We talk about Star Wars, we talk about science fiction, but every once in a while there's a story that is just too cool that isn't really science fiction or fantasy.
I mean, it's a little science fiction.
It's also, actually you're right. It is, and it's a little fantastical too.
There's some weird fucking shit going. Like if you haven't seen Severance, you probably should. Because there's some weird fucking shit going on in it, and it's really well done.
That season too, I was really worried. Because that season is a masterclass on character development and mystery boxes. Where you're like, they've planned the mystery boxes out and they pay them. It's not like Lost, where you get to the 4th season, you're like, you're just making this up as you go along.
No, Severance is very much a slow burn.
Yes, and when you get to the last episode, from second 1 of the episode until the end is just what, like 30 minutes, or I think because they're like shorter episodes, constantly building tension throughout the episode where you feel your heart rate increase with every second of the episode until the end. And just a quick spoiler warning for this. The main character Mark. So the whole conceit is that there's a tech company, Google-ish company, that has a little thing you put in your brain where you can split your personality in a way where you don't ever remember going to work.
Yeah.
Right. So you only remember your off time.
Yeah.
Right. And in doing so, you create another person who
happens to live in your body and only exists when you're at work,
and was born an adult whose life, the only thing they know is working at this company. They don't know anything else. And just that idea is really neat.
It's really dystopian.
Yeah, it is. It is extreme, and there's weird religious things around it and shit.
Like
and
this company's internal culture is best described as a cult.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. And the main character is grappling with the death of his wife. And
on the outside, on
yes.
the inside, he doesn't remember even having a life.
Right. And
except that one of the big twist reveals.
Well,
is
hold on just a second. And there's one of the work personality's friends figures out a way to merge the two in his head, and so the person outside of the job is the outie, and the person who works the job is the innie, right? And his friend visits the outie and tries to dude, there's crazy shit happening, and this whole thing keeps going along, and weird shit's happening in the job where they start questioning stuff, and they find a way. There's a protocol where they can put the innie in the outie's body at a button press.
Yeah.
And the innie discovers that his outie's wife is actually alive in the company. And this last episode, where this tension keeps ratcheting, at the end has Adam Scott, who plays the main character, running up to his sister and screaming she's alive. And that's how the whole season ends. And you're just like, oh God, what the fuck?
I want to note that season ended 3 years ago.
Yeah.
3 real life years ago.
Right.
So, people who have watched this show have been waiting 3 goddamn years for payoff on that cliffhanger.
I was really worried that there wasn't going to be any living up to that first season, because it really is kind of 9.5 out of 10. Such a great show. And from what I can tell from early reviews,
seems pretty good.
It's very, very good. So when those come out, we'll talk about them, because there's so much lore in that show that's weird, and you're like, what? One of the things that they give the employees who work really hard is a thing called a waffle party, and you think it's just in them eating waffles, but actually they take them into a room, give them waffles, and let them watch people have sex, and you're like, what?
Huh?
What is happening here?
And one of their disciplinary measures is this thing called the break room.
The break room, right? Yeah.
Where you think, oh, it's just a company break room. You go in there when you know.
It's not a company break room. It's very, very bad. We have been rewatching the first season, and in the very first season, the innie gets promoted in the second scene or something, and his supervisor tells him and gives him his key card, and is like, you may request a handshake. And there's something so weird about all of it. It's just it's all zany and strange and shit. So also the main the music, the main theme,
music's really good.
It slaps. It's really cool. So anyway, that's the end of our show. We will be we'll be back next week with the season finale of Skeleton Crew. I'm so sad. Episode 8. And then
might be the last time we ever see Neil.
I hope he doesn't die.
Not like that, but just he might not. That character might not be in anything else.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I know that Dave Filoni apparently is tying up all of the post-Return of the Jedi things with his movie. Okay. So it's possible we run into them again, or Jod, or whoever. Mm-hmm. So anyway, sorry, real quick. Chris says, "May the Force be with you, Daniel. Chris, I hope you're having a good night. Do you think Jude Law's character will be taken out in spectacular fashion in the season finale?" I kind of hope so. He's kind of an asshole.
Yeah, he is an asshole. Yeah. This is true.
James says, I really got Anakin vibes from Jod and thought he was he was gonna pull an Anakin and kill kids. Ooh, that would be dark.
Not that kind of show, buddy.
Yeah. Also, rip the cool wolf-looking dude, Brutus.
Brutus,
Yeah, they did Brutus dirty.
He was a jerk.
Jared says, "Yo,
Yeah.
how are you? We're doing pretty good, man. How are you? I'm not going to stick around and see what you say, but you can join us next week at 6:30 Central for our next episode and ask us again, and maybe I'll read it before."